Look at this wonderful book. It's got a statement I think all of us would like to adapt. Right, Mitch? Yeah? How to Become a Lifelong Financial Success. This great book is by Manyara Kirago, who is a financial expert, and he is here looking great as ever, and he's got something to give away to you who's watching. Come out here, sir. Excellent. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
It is a pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure's mine.
Seat, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for coming with goodies. We like guests who come bearing gifts. How to Become a Lifelong Financial Success. What a great book. We're going to delve into this, but I think it's important that we get to know Mr. Manyara Kirago from the beginning. When did you get into finances? What led you into this vocation?
Well, it's quite a long story, but
Yeah.
I'll just get to the I'll cut to the chase.
Sure.
I used to have an export business, and somehow things went south. But in the process of trying to revive it, I found myself going to the USA without any money, and as a result, I was turned back at the airport. I was actually deported from the US.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It was a very traumatic experience for me.
Sure.
But at that time, it happened that I already had an interest in personal finances. So I had started taking a course in personal finance. And when I was deported now, I was sitting at the airport, and they told me, now you're waiting for your flight to be sent back to Nairobi. And it took hours and hours. Obviously, when somebody is deported,
Yes.
People throw tantrums there. And
It's a messy affair,
yes,
isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
all around me were people who were going berserk because they had been told they're going back, and probably they had invested all their money and everything they had.
Yeah.
But for me, what happened is I kind of retreated back into myself. I just calmed down. I don't know. I think probably it was the Holy Spirit or something.
Yeah.
Because I just felt calm, and I sat there and I started thinking about personal finances. And I actually pulled out a pen and paper and started writing. So I wrote, and I wrote, because I had very many hours sitting there.
Yeah.
I actually took about 12 hours at the airport.
Wow.
So I wrote a lot. I
Yeah.
wrote all the things which were going through my head about personal finance. Now, what happened is those notes that I wrote at that time ended up being the first articles in my column, which I had in the Daily Nation, or at that time it was a Sunday Nation newspaper.
Yeah.
It was called You and Your Money. So right at that lowest point of my life, a new career was born. So that's how I ended up in personal financial consulting.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, looking at, of course, what personal finance is, and I think a lot of people just need to understand, and I think also a mental shift needs to happen, because a lot of us are just chasing. We're chasing the next, the next lot. We're chasing the next tender. We're chasing the salo. Talk to us a little bit about sort of mental understanding as to what your personal finances actually mean.
One of the biggest mistakes we make is to assume that to succeed financially, all you need is a big income. In fact, what you've been mentioning about chasing the next tender, chasing the next job, next buck, that's what it's all targeted at, and that is earning more. But it's a lot more than that. No matter how little or how much you're earning, you need to have a framework which will help you manage those finances so that you end up having a good life and end up achieving goals in your life. So what I came up with after going through personal finance professional training, and also from the experiences which I went through, my own experiences, I developed a framework which is very helpful for most people. And that is, the first thing is you need to know where you are. Because if you don't know where you are financially, really, how are you going to start planning how to improve?
Right.
Or how will you measure when your improvement or lack of improvement? So you need to know where you are. So that's the first thing. And most people don't have a clue where they are.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Once you know that, then you need to have a set of smart financial goals. Most people also think only of the things they need now, but they don't think about a few years down the line. And that's a mistake, because some of those things which you need a few years down the line need for you to start taking care of them now for them to actually actualize.
Right.
You need to have a long-term vision. Once you have your goals, then you come to the big one, and that is managing to save, managing your income so that you can put some money aside to achieve those goals.
Right.
Because no matter how much you earn, unless you're able to accumulate money for those big goals, you're not going to achieve them. So there's some specific things which you need to do to be able to save. It's not just earning more, and it's not just cutting down expenses.
Right.
Like most people try to save by saying, I'll reduce my expenses just by cutting down.
Right.
It's not that simple. Sometimes there are some things which you can manage to reduce expenses on without suffering.
Okay.
And on the other hand, saving does not mean you suffer, and does not mean that you don't have fun. In fact, you should have fun in your life. I believe that life is for the living. You should be living now and in the future. Not just say, I will live when I succeed financially. No. So part of your budget should be, budget is one of those things. Part of the budget should be your entertainment and nice stuff like nice clothes.
Right,
exactly.
exactly. Treat yourself a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once you know how to, and also managing your debts. Now, debt, of course, is a big issue, which we'll probably go a bit deeper into a bit later.
Okay.
Once you do that, then the next thing is you need to realize that for especially the longer term goals, you need to invest that money. Saving itself is not enough. Because if you just save money, what will happen is inflation will eat away at the purchasing power.
Right.
If you look just a few years back, even something like a loaf of bread was costing a lot less than it costs today.
Yes.
So if you had just kept money aside and enough for a loaf of bread, today it would not be enough. So what you need to do is invest that money so that it grows, enables you to achieve the goals you have.
Right. Yeah.
So far we've done 4 things, and they're wonderful because we know where you stand, you know your goals, you've managed your income, and you've actually have some savings now. And now the next thing is to invest.
Yes.
Once you invest, you've done actually better than 90% of Kenyans. But life is still unpredictable.
Because one of the things I can definitely say is a lot of people, first of all, the little money that they have is cost of living, expenses, your bills. So by the time you end up with a little chunk, let's say you're in an informal chama, you're a woman who does mboga, you're in an informal chama, you've paid your fees, you've paid everything, and it seems to be working for you. Very difficult to find people who are willing to take a chunk of that money and put it, for example, in Safaricom shares. And the point is, a lot of people are just fearful, and I think it's also lack of education. We have seen the number of stories on pyramid schemes and people getting scammed. What do you say to this demographic who's like, I'm not giving you my 50K, the only 50K I have in my life?
Well, fear actually might be a good thing.
Okay.
If handled right. But you use the keywords, is lack of education and information. Once you learn how the ins and outs of how to invest, and it doesn't have to be very technical. In fact, it doesn't have to be technical, because if you want to get technical in investment, you can get very, very technical. But we don't need to go there. But even before you go, you look at how to invest. There is the 5th and the 6th aspect of the framework, and that is managing personal risks. Because even if you're managed to invest, life is unpredictable, and something might happen that maybe somebody is ill in the house, somebody gets sick in the house, and all the money you're forced to use it for, you're forced to sell your investment so as to take care of that.
Right.
So we need to also manage those risks. It's still part of the financial framework. And then lastly is implementation.
Of course.
And because too many of us say, I will do this, but we hardly ever do.
Yeah, and a lot of it is also behavioral. We'll talk about that in the next part of the show. And we are back, everybody. We are here with Manyara Kirago, who is a financial... Let me actually read it, as it says here in the back, Mr. Kirago. Manyara Kirago is a financial wellness consultant and managing director at Financial Counseling Limited, Kenya's premier employee financial wellness service provider. This is great. This is fantastic. From Boston University and Colorado as well. But it's great. I feel like it's... different things happen in our lives to really turn the direction, and it's a good thing you came back and you're implementing this. Talking about the year, and I was just talking to DJ Mitch about this a second ago, talking about where we are as Kenyans, this whole 2017 has almost been, you know, we've all been a bated breath just waiting to see what happens with these elections. When you talk to potential customers, sponsors, everyone tells you, let's wait for the election. Let's wait. So a lot of people are on the wait and see, and now we have to wait again until October, and we don't know what's going to happen after that. It feels like the year has just gone by. What can you say about this sort of anxiety that people have because they just feel like there's no money?
It's very true that the political environment causes a lot of issues with the economy. But if you look at it slightly differently as an individual, it can actually be a godsend opportunity. Because if you look at, like, for instance, the stock market right now, you find that most stocks have lost quite a bit of their value right now. They are much lower than they were before the elections. So for somebody with a long-term view, that might be a very good opportunity. And obviously, to take advantage of that opportunity, you have to have some savings.
Right.
So if you did not have savings before the elections, you would not be able to take advantage of that situation. So that's why managing your personal finances with a long-term view always helps.
Okay. Now, debt. A lot of people are in debt. There's bank loans. You have your SACCO loans. Now, there's text messages coming. You can get loans from everywhere. So a lot of people are swimming in debt. They don't even know how to start getting themselves out of it because your income hasn't grown. Your business hasn't grown. You don't have a new revenue stream. What do you do?
Okay. I think we start from the other side.
Yeah.
How did you get into
How
those
did you
debts?
get into debt? Exactly.
Yeah. One of the main reason why people get into debt because they don't understand how to use debt. There are actually two types of debts, and only two: good debts and bad debts. A good debt builds your financial situation and improves your financial situation. A bad debt, on the other hand, does the exact opposite. It brings stress in your life. It makes your life more difficult. It makes it impossible for you to save. Now, what is a good debt? A good debt is when you buy something that's appreciating in value,
Right.
or when you pay for a course which will improve your ability to earn, or when you invest money in a viable business. Those are good debts. And if you see the end result is a better financial situation.
Right.
A bad debt, on the other hand, is when you borrow money and use it to buy lifestyle goods. Like, for instance, you bought a sofa set on debt. Or you've taken a loan and gone on a holiday on
Right.
debt. Those are all bad debts because it does not increase your financial position.
There's no return.
There is no return.
Yeah.
And in the end, if you were to liquidate that sofa set, for instance, you'd get a lot less than you bought it for. So too many of us focus our borrowing with bad debts.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons. In addition to that, we need to know that there should be limits on your debts. Including a mortgage, the maximum debt repayment should be 36% of your income, which means that if you're earning 50,000 shillings, your maximum debt repayment should be about 18,000 shillings.
Right.
And you'll find that a lot of people, they pay more than 30, 40, even 50% of their salary towards debt. So you find somebody at the end of the month, everybody else is excited. Hey, we've got our pay.
Yeah.
They're having fun. But this person who's heavily indebted, when they look at their pay slip, they feel like crying. Why? The salary itself might be very good.
Yes.
But then come the deductions. And it looks like it's a roll call of all financial institutions in Kenya.
Exactly.
And then at the bottom there, the money is so little that they're even unable to make it through a month. So they start borrowing again. And those are all bad debts.
Okay.
Now, that situation is one which a lot of people find themselves in. So, you asked me, how do we get out of this? First of all, is to understand about good debt, bad debt. And then we need to sit down and draw up a plan. Okay, I owe this much. How much do I spend? That's another thing. Most people don't know how much they spend. So you need to figure out how much you spend for each and every item of expenditure. And then see whether there is anything that you can reduce.
Okay.
And then then how much, whatever amount you're able to pay towards the debt, you start paying towards the debt without taking new debt. And you start with the debts with the highest interest rates. So, by the way, there's another thing. Most people don't even know the interest rates they're paying.
Right.
And some of them can be shocking. When you go to a Shylock, most people think that the Shylock charges them 30% interest, and while the bank charges them about 18 or 14%. But that's not the true situation. The bank does charge them 14% per annum, but the Shylock charges them 30% per month.
Oh, wow.
Which is the equivalent of 360%.
Of course.
So you see, comparing the bank and the
Shylock. But by the time you go to the Shylock, you're so desperate.
Yes, but you're desperate.
Which means that you're not being quite smart about what's going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. So you need to start. If you have a Shylock debt, that's the first debt you should start paying off.
Okay.
If you have a credit card debt, it's also high in the list because it's also very expensive. All these M-Shwari loans, those ones people take them to be a simple, almost free thing, a soft loan.
Yes.
In fact, this terminology, soft loan, it's a very Kenyan thing, by the way.
But there's nothing soft about it when they come asking for their money.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now,
when I'm sure it charges you 10% for that money for 1 month, how much interest rate is that? Annual interest rate is 120%.
Okay.
So it's really, really expensive. So we need to start paying off the ones with the highest interest rates so that we... and as soon as we finish one with the high interest rate, that money, now we move to the next one with the next high interest rate. So that way you find that your debts melt away.
Okay.
And then after that, make it a resolution that you will follow, that you will never take another bad loan.
Yeah.
Because bad loans don't help you. They just make your life miserable. Yes.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Going into the book, one of the things that you mention here is where to get money to invest, how to track your financial progress, where and how to invest successfully, how to protect your family against financial setbacks. Talking about financial setbacks and when you're already in debt and you're already in the red, you don't know where this is going to come from, and then you get an emergency or financial setback that's beyond your control. We're seeing a lot of that lately, especially in the health, within the health sector. People just can't afford some of these health bills. What do you do?
The best time to solve a problem is before it occurs.
Okay.
So what I always advocate is preparation before the situation arises. Now, if you find yourself now, you already have debts, and then such a situation arises, you have no option but to go deeper in debt for that time.
Yeah.
But then, with a plan that long term, you will come out of those debts and you will set up your finances so that your risks are managed properly, and that is, if it's medical, you have the right insurance to take care of that. If it is life insurance, you make sure you have it so that in case something were to happen to you as the breadwinner of the family, your children or the rest of your family are not left in a spot.
Right.
But you have to take the long-term view. Because the kind of situation which you talked about, somebody is already in debt, he doesn't have any money, or he or she doesn't have any money, and then something bad happens, that's a very difficult situation for which there is no immediate good remedy. So you'll probably have to go into more debt because you have to sort out that emergency, and then start organizing your finances so that long-term you're in better financial footing.
Okay, fantastic. Now, one of the things here that you talk about in one of these chapters, I'm just going to read it really quickly, is net worth. And I think a lot of people just don't understand. I know last year there was a lot of CEOs, we managed to know what their net worth was. Yes. So when you start to think about what you're worth from a global scale, talk to us about net worth and what that actually means when it comes to the nitty-gritty of it.
Okay. Like I said, the first step towards learning to manage your finances is to learn how to determine your financial position. Where are you standing? Because if you don't know where you're standing, there's really no way you can start planning how to improve. And even if you improve, you don't know how much you've improved because you have nothing to compare it with. So what you need to do is determine your financial position by calculating your net worth. Now, a lot of people are mathematically challenged. And in fact, when they hear that word calculate, they start freaking out.
Yeah.
But it's really very simple. So simple that even a lower primary school child can calculate, because it's just addition and subtraction.
Right.
You just have to know what to add and what to subtract. This is what to add. You add up all the things which you own. What do you own? You probably have some money in the bank,
Yeah.
some money in your M-Pesa. You own, maybe you own a house, maybe you own a car, maybe you own whatever your assets. Those,
Okay.
we call them assets.
Okay.
Add the value of those up. And then add up all the debts that you owe. You maybe have a SACCO loan, maybe you have a bank loan, maybe you have an insurance loan, any money which you owe, including that money which you owe that friend of yours
Yes.
that you've been avoiding.
Right, exactly.
Add it up. And then there's a second step. The third step is subtract the debts from the assets.
Okay.
And the answer is net worth. Now that net worth is actually the sum total of all the financial decisions you've made since you started working. If you've been making good decisions, it will tend to be higher. If you're making poor decisions, it will be lower.
Okay.
And that's why you hear them talking about the net worth of so and so.
Okay.
That's what they've done. They've done that calculation. But there's a little more to it. Those assets which you've mentioned, they're different types. There are some which are important for your financial security, and those are the assets. Those are the invested assets.
Okay.
The more invested assets you are, the more secure you are. In fact, to be financially independent means to have enough invested assets that you don't need to work to stay alive.
Right.
You might want to work because you want to, it gives you meaning to your life,
Right.
and you enjoy your work.
Yes.
But you're not working so as to eat. That's based on the invested assets. And it's crucial that we accumulate those as we're going along. Too many of us just spend everything we earn.
Yeah.
And we have no investments. So the day the job ends, where are you? You're in big trouble.
Right.
So we must make sure that we're accumulating those as we're working. Then there's the cash assets. Cash assets is what you use to sort out emergencies.
Okay.
Like if something unexpected happens, if you have a car, maybe it breaks down, you need to repair it, that's where you get the money.
Okay.
Instead of going to borrow, you get from your cash assets.
Okay.
And then there's personal use assets. Personal use assets are the things you've bought for your own use and for your... Now here's the big mistake we make. Too many of us just focus on those. I want the nice car. I want the big TV which my neighbors can,
Yeah.
they'll be impressed. But you see, those have got no relationship with your financial security.
Right.
The only personal use asset which is important for your financial security is your house. If you own a house, that's a plus.
Okay.
So unfortunately, too many of us concentrate on the other depreciating personal use assets because that car, the value is going to go down very fast.
Exactly.
Those clothes you're buying, the value goes down. That TV, but the only one which goes up is the house.
Right.
So if you have a house, then you're in a much better situation from now and in the future.
Okay.
So we need to learn how to balance this. Then in the debts, and I talked about the good debts and bad debts.
Right, exactly. Then from there you're okay.
Then from there
All
you're
right. So listen, we're going to teach you something through life hacks, all right? That is All Matters Finance. We take a quick break. When we come back, we're giving away tickets, all right, to a wonderful, wonderful course that you guys really, after you've heard what the good man has had to say, I'm sure you really need a lot more of his lessons and advice. Yes, and we are back, everybody. Really great advice here. Tell me about this book. How long did it take you to write it, and where is it available?
The book took me quite a while to write. Maybe I used to write a column in the Nation.
As you've said, yes.
I wrote it for about 12 years,
Okay.
and it's within that time that I developed the book. I never actually sat down to write a book in the beginning, but it developed from the column.
This is a great book. Yeah, a lot of great advice here. Where can we find this book, and how much is it?
The book is 1,950,
Okay.
and it's available on our website.
Okay,
Yes.
fantastic. Guys, what we'll do is, of course, go ahead and connect you to this great man and this great book. If you're looking for a copy on our social media platforms, log on to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and we'll connect you to that wonderful thing. So you, of course, coming back to the country and doing this for a number of years, you realize that there's need. This is something that I think will forever be a need for Kenyans. When you talk about money skills and teaching personal finance and teaching and giving the skills to different Kenyans, what do you mean?
Well, first of all, maybe I can explain how it started.
Yeah.
Once I came back to Kenya, I started writing the column, and then I would find a company would approach me and ask me if I could go and talk to their people because they're having issues with their personal finances. So after a number of times like this, I realized, there's a need here. So I sat down and developed a course, which now I started teaching in the companies. And I've taught companies, some of the biggest companies in Kenya.
Yeah.
I've worked with companies like Safaricom, breweries, and a lot of the banks. And so over the years, I've trained, at the last count, I think, over 6,500 individual Kenyans.
Okay.
And I've been told wonderful things that have happened in their lives for those who implemented. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't implement.
Yes.
They just go away saying, nice stuff. And,
and
implementation
doesn't happen, yeah.
Yes. But for those who invested, we have seen really good results. And actually, for me, that's the greatest reward. When I meet somebody who tells me, Manyara, you told me this and it's done this in my life.
Okay.
That's the greatest reward there is.
But it needs, the proactivity needs to come from us, from the participants.
Absolutely.
Okay. You have this wonderful training, top 10 money mistakes Kenyan employees, professionals and managers make and how to avoid them. Give us a little bit about, include a little bit of this in terms of what people should expect if they are to come on the course.
Anybody who comes there can expect to be woken up to the fact that there might be some mistakes they're making. Of course, I've made mistakes myself, very many mistakes. In fact, that's one of the greatest learning opportunities that one can have, making a mistake and then learning from it. So anybody who comes there should expect to be awoken to some of the things they may be doing wrong without realizing, and also a way out of it. Like I said, when I was working with these companies, teaching their employees how to manage their personal finances, that was a live training, which I still do actually. So I go there and train people the whole day, and people walk away with that knowledge. Now I've realized over the years, and I've been told over the years, that a lot of people, they would like their friends, their relatives, and also the spouses to get the same insights.
Right.
But whenever I did the live open courses, we find that a lot of people are not able to come because they say, I'm too busy, or that day I'm not available. There are so many issues. So now what I did, I've turned into an online video course.
Right.
So now instead of coming to a class, you can just go on your laptop or on your smartphone and take your lessons there. And the course is it's got 6 modules, it's about 25 videos with a downloadable PDF. So you actually go just like you're in class. And you also interact with me because you can post questions, and you can also discuss with the other participants.
Okay, that's amazing. So you are here today with some free tickets for everybody. 4 tickets specifically, everyone, okay? And this is a launch, isn't it? That's happening?
Yes. I'm going to be giving the talk on those mistakes which people make and the solution.
Okay.
And then we're also going to be launching the video course on that day. And we're doing it at the St. Andrew's Church Auditorium on 28th September.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, we're going to do one great favor for you and your team. We're going to put all that information on our social media platforms so you guys can really tap into this and take advantage of this great opportunity and platform. And listen, really, if we all become financially wise and successful, then we have a great economy to look forward to for the country and a greater future, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here this morning. Can you give him a hand, everybody? Give him a great hand.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. So insightful. I'm going to go through this book, and I'm definitely going to come for this course because we need it.
You're welcome.
We need it, all right? Yes, thank you so much.